Well, hello. Welcome to our discussion with two of our high school teachers. As a matter of fact, David Jennings is our lead math teacher in the high school, and Robin Lee is our academic counselor, who also teaches some math. And we're going to talk today just a little bit about maybe some of the goals that we have for our high school students at Cherokee Christian High. So, David, would you like to start off?
Yeah. You know, when you originally asked me about this, my first thought I had about goals for students and such were kind of along the lines of what everybody might expect in math. You want them to learn the concepts and how to do the things that they're supposed to do and all that. But the thing that I tell my students is there's so much more, that math is certainly about learning the rules and how the procedures and things like that. But it's really more about problem solving, not the way that they think it is problem solving, but it's that there's a challenge before them to learn a subject that may be foreign to them, may be something that they're not very comfortable with, and the challenge to them is how do they learn that and how do they embrace that to the point that they need to succeed here at Cherokee Christian and beyond. And that's really the goal that we have ultimately, is to prepare them for what's next. And for many students, they may think there's no math in the future for them, but always there's going to be, because even for an English major or a history major, they're going to have to take some of those math classes beyond.
In addition to taking all of the classes and us, you know, hopefully teaching them how to analyze and think and problem solve, also we want to make sure they have the right classes so they're ready on time. So do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Beginning in the freshman year, our schedule is pretty much set so that the freshmen will have the classes that they need, and the sophomore year pretty much the same as well. The only thing that varies oftentimes is the math, depending on what level that they come in needing. And so we adjust our schedule, we adjust the students, and I look to plan out their schedules so that by the time that they graduate, they have all of the college prep curriculum courses that they need, that the University System of Georgia is looking for.
Now we do have a lot of students who come in after the freshman year. So maybe could you say something about that, you know, how we try to work with the student to make them fit our schedule and so on.
Yeah. I do get the opportunity to look ahead of time at the student schedules, because we want to make sure that if we do accept a student in, that we actually can graduate them with the courses that they need. So I'll look at that, and then we work the schedule to the best of our ability. It might mean that they take some things out of sync. They might be taking junior level courses when they're sophomores. We've had a couple of students that, because they were so advanced in math, were taking senior level classes when they were sophomores, or senior level classes when they were juniors. But we do whatever we need to do in order to get everything to work out so that by the time they graduate, they have the classes in the areas that they need, the 4 maths and the 4 Englishes, the foreign language, and etc.
We have a new STEM program, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, which I think is going to be a very, very big thing for our school in the years to come. David, you're chairman of that group of teachers that are overseeing that program. How do you feel about that going forward?
Well, I agree. I think it's going to be a big deal for our school. You know, we found that we have so much interest in the STEM disciplines already from students and certainly amongst the teachers as well, that it just fit for us to really kind of formalize the program into something that we could work with some of the local universities perhaps to find out what sort of courses would they really need in a high school level to prepare them for college. So again, it's about this problem solving, it's about preparing them for what they would encounter in the future. Everybody knows that they take English classes in high school and then they take English classes in college, but you know, how are they going to fit into those? And especially when you're talking about STEM discipline, where you know you really up the ante when you get to college, and it's very different. My experience certainly is probably very similar, I would think, to students today, where you know when I went into my first chemistry class and I had taken chemistry already in high school, it was nothing like what I had experienced in high school. And so it's the same thing, not just with the core disciplines, but when we're talking about things like robotics and programming, and advanced level engineering classes, things like that. Those are things that most students will have never experienced before they've gotten to the college level.
Teenagers, high school. You've been teaching high school now, David, for...
It's my 10th year.
10th year.
Yep.
And Robin, you've been in our high school now for...
It would be 9 then.
9 years already. Okay, so can you think of one thing or two things in particular that we have found that we need to help these high school students with, besides the math and reading and writing and so on, maybe interpersonal skills or some kind of organizational skills maybe?
Well, I have found from a standpoint of just teaching in general and having taught all the way back in elementary school when I first started, and then gradually teaching the upper levels, and now in high school for the last 9 years. The students really, despite everything that we try and do in elementary school and in middle school to help them with organizational skills and with study skills, when they come into high school, they somehow think that they don't have to pay attention to that anymore, that they can do things their way. And so oftentimes they get into trouble almost immediately. Trouble meaning that they start struggling in their courses, not necessarily, and they're not getting the same grades as what they were getting in middle school and elementary. And invariably when when a teacher makes the referral to me, or because I'm looking at grades and I go and seek the student out, I find that it really comes back to study skills. It comes back to organization and time management. That some of the things they've heard before, some of them they haven't, and they actually never put them into practice. And so therefore...
I think parents can relate to that, telling their children things over many years and somehow it's just not happening.
Right. So I will do my best to encourage the students to, first of all, begin using a planner. So, because it makes a tremendous difference in being able to see all of their subjects that they have, what they have coming down in the next week, so that they can plan their time appropriately. Students that actually take the advice and actually follow up with their study skills, they actually come back and tell me that their schooling gets easier. Their studying gets easier. They actually have more free time instead of less, which is what they think is going to happen. And so they typically, then they turn around, their grades turn around, they just, and you see this different student at the end of the year than what they were at the beginning of the year.
Sure. Well, let's kind of wrap up by talking about what is the most gratifying part of your job once a student does get from freshman through the senior years, and maybe even going on from there. What kind of stands out to you as something that really brings you joy about what you're doing?
Well, I think, actually kind of following from what Robin was talking about, that part of the real blessing that I have received is seeing students mature, and it's not just going to be about, again, the classroom. It's going to be about how they manage their lives, I guess is what I want to say. Is certainly the classroom is their main focus in terms, well, it should be, hopefully, in terms of doing well and doing the things they're supposed to. But there's so many other things that they need to focus on as well, in terms of social relationships, in terms of being good sons and daughters to their kids, doing their chores, looking for jobs, even things that we don't think about that are beyond the scope of really what we try to do here. We have an opportunity to influence those through not just the classroom lessons, but through the way that we approach, again, kind of this idea of how do they address life as they experience it. And the real blessing, again, to me has been seeing students, come in, I get to know them even before high school often, and see when they are very immature and how they grow and mature to the point where they go off to college, and then we hear from them afterwards and hear how much, how well prepared they were, not just again for the classroom, but for life and for what they're going to experience beyond our school.
Well, and I would concur. I mean, first of all, when a student gets accepted into the college that they want to go to, and they come back and tell me that, that's always, that just makes my day. But in addition to that, oftentimes the contact after they graduate, when they come back, and whenever I see any alumni, one of my first questions, and they know that they're going to hear it from me, is, so how well prepared were you? We still want the feedback, we still want to know. And when they come back and say, you know, I breezed through my college math class, you know, because of, you know, having taken math. My English class was easy in college because, you know, of what I was taught, you know, there. It just makes everything that we do on a daily basis, the hours that we put in and everything else, it just makes it worthwhile. Because that's what our desire is, and that's what our heart is. That's what we want for these kids, is for them to be successful when they go to college. So when we hear that that is happening, and they are recognizing that the work they put in, and oftentimes it doesn't take place until they get away to college, you know, where they come back and they recognize the work that they put in, the time that they put in, and how much it has paid off for them. That is the end all.
That's it. That's right, Joe. Well, thank you both for sharing with these folks today. And if you have any questions about our high school, please don't hesitate to call us and ask us. And even if you wanted to speak with Mrs. Lee or Mr. Jennings at some point,